how do we understand that envy is justified in one who has knowledge in Islam? The hadith of the Prophet Muhammad SAW in question here reads that there's no hasad, there should be no hasad except in two matters. The one is in a knowledgeable person who learns and incorporates knowledge and teaches others, and the other is in an affluent person who has wealth but spends it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And only in those two is it permissible or is it legitimate to have jealousy, meaning to envy them. The problem herein is from the outset, hasad or envy in Islam is negative, right? Hasad is considered one of the major sins, one of the major spiritual ailments. The Prophet ﷺ also said that hasad, تأكل الحسنات, consumes one's good deeds. كما تأكل النار الحطب, like the fire consumes the firewood. Ya salam. So if that is the danger of hasad, how then should we understand that the Prophet ﷺ said that hasad is justified in these two individuals? So in Islam, there's a concept known as righteous envy. In Arabic, this is read as ghibta, right? So ghibta is different to hasad in that hasad means you desire what the other person has, but at the same time, you desire for that to be removed from the person. Hasad is not the English concept of envy or jealousy wherein I want what somebody else has, but rather I don't want that person to have it. That's hasad. And that's why hasad is evil, because it is intending evil for another. It is wanting harm to come to another. Now, ghibta is closer to the more ubiquitous English expression of jealousy or envy, because ghibta means that you desire what another one has, but not necessarily, or in fact, not desiring for that to be removed from that person. So I see my friend has a beautiful home, a beautiful house. I say, MashaAllah, that's a beautiful home. I would like to have a home like that one day. There's nothing wrong with that, right? This would be good, as long as you don't wish for the home to be removed from that person. So many scholars had interpreted the expression that hasad is justified in these two individuals by saying that what is intended here is actually ghibta, right? Where one envies another for their knowledge, for their piety, for their possession, or attributes and the like, without wishing them any harm. My teacher, Mufti Taha Karan rahimahullah ta'ala, he indicated that there's an alternative interpretation for this, which he personally inclined to, which is that the Prophet ﷺ actually intended hasad here. Why? Because ghibta, as we mentioned, is not only justified in a knowledgeable person and an affluent person who spends for the sake of Allah, but rather ghibta is generally permissible. It is permissible to desire what others have as long as you don't wish them any harm and there's some benefit for you, there's some reason for which you actually desire what they have. So there would then be no issue with saying that it's permissible to have ghibta and everything. But here, the Prophet ﷺ specifically says there is no hasad. La hasada illa fi ithnatain. There's no hasad except in two. A person whom Allah has given wealth and he spends it rightly, and a person whom Allah Ta'ala had given wisdom or religious knowledge, and he gives his decisions accordingly, he teaches it to others, etc., which is recorded in Bukhari. So how then do we understand it? The alternative view was that this is actually referring to hasad, but not the part of wanting the blessing to be removed from the other person, rather in the sense that one would like to be ahead of that person. So in terms of knowledge, it would be that one would desire to be more knowledgeable than the other person in order to be of greater benefit to the community and Allah's creation, for example, and to be even more wealthy than the other wealthy person in order to be again of greater benefit to others. Wallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam. So in conclusion, what we understand hereby is that first and foremost, to have a lot of knowledge and to use it in beautiful ways is praiseworthy, and it is something that we should aspire to. To have a lot of wealth, but specifically that we use for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is praiseworthy and something that we should aspire to. The second lesson is that we should avoid hasad at all costs, meaning we should not wish evil or harm for others. And then on top of that, we learn that specifically in relation to these two qualities, having a lot of knowledge and a lot of wealth, which we spend for Allah's sake, it is permissible to want to be ahead of others for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on condition that we don't wish harm for them, and Allah ta'ala knows best.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله